Hey, it's your Pan African World Diaspora Champion, Trish Adora, and you are watching O Face Wrestling.
Hey guys, it's your girl Red Velvet, and you are watching O Face Wrestling.
Hola todos, soy la fashionista Rosa Chanel, and you're watching O Face Wrestling. Smooches!
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today on O Face Wrestling. This is your host JT, and today I'm joined by Heidi Howitzer. So thanks for joining us today, Heidi.
No problem. Happy to be here.
All right, so I'm really excited to have you on the show today. I know we talked in the DMs about video games and all, but we'll get to that a little later because I know we'll probably drift off a little bit on that. So let's start off with wrestling. So one of the most common questions I'm sure you get asked what inspired you to become a professional wrestler?
Sure. So I'm kind of a weird case here because I didn't really watch when I was a kid. Like I played the video games and stuff, but aside from that, wasn't on TV normally. And then in like 2011, I think I was flipping through channels, landed on an episode of SmackDown. I was like, well, this is ridiculous. So I kept watching. I had two of my best friends are huge marks down in Houston, Texas, where I'm originally from. And we started going to VFW hall shows. So I kind of like sunk myself into the indie wrestling scene before much of the pro wrestling stuff. And couple years down the line, I met a guy online and we started dating, and then turned out he was a wrestler. So that was fun. Um, yeah, would go to his shows and everything too. And then a couple years after that, we moved to Colorado, and I had a couple too many beers one day, and I was like, hey, don't laugh at me, but I want to learn how to wrestle. So that's basically going to a lot of shows and then finally deciding I wanted to be the one heckling the wrestlers in the ring instead of outside of it, I guess.
So when your boyfriend had told you that he was a wrestler, like what was your reaction? Like, 'cause I know some people think it's like, oh, it's a wrestling, it's silly, but then some people think it's like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. So what was your reaction?
So he's actually my now husband, so that went over well. But no, it was funny because like we were getting ready to go out on our first date, and we were talking and everything. We met on OK Cupid, of all places, and he's like, yeah, I wrestle as well. Like that's my big hobby. I was like, oh, that's cool. So like I sent the picture of this guy to my two Mark buddies, and I was like, LOL, I'm gonna go out with a wrestler. What is life? This is weird. And they're like, oh yeah, that was that guy you were marking out over like a year ago at this VFW hall show. I was like, oh, okay. So small world, I guess. But yeah, it was fun. It was like, okay, cool. Another intersection of my interests and hobbies. And it clearly worked out well.
So with you both, is he still a wrestler, I'm assuming?
He sure is.
So do you both travel and tour together, or is it kind of like he's there and you're here kind of thing?
It's a little bit of both. It depends. Most of like our out of state bookings and stuff, like, so we work versus pro in Vegas together, and we actually tag together as the Rad Warriors, and which is great because then I just work the apron and he does all the work. But yeah, no, we take quite a bit of bookings together, but then apart as well. It just kind of depends. Most of the local places we work shows together too as well, but yeah, it just varies. He's been doing this for like 12 years and I've been doing it for 2, so he's got a little bit more experience under his belt.
Yeah, I think that's really awesome that you both, do it together because I can understand like it being really difficult if one of you didn't. Because one of the wrestlers I had on my show recently, she had mentioned that, she actually left her boyfriend because, he kind of, wasn't behind her in the wrestling and stuff like that. So it was kind of like, supposedly like it was kind of like it's either me or wrestling kind of thing. So like with your situation, obviously you don't have to worry about that. And I actually have a friend too. Her and her boyfriend Russell, and they actually they do tour a little bit together as well. But then sometimes, like I mentioned, he'll be out of state doing this, and she'll be here at home and stuff like that. So I think that's cool that you both could show that common interest and that passion because wrestling's something. It's one of those you have to be all in kind of thing.
Oh God, it takes up so much of your life. It's insane.
Exactly. It's not even just the events, it's all the working out and the conditioning and stuff like that, that stuff that you can do together. So I think that's like really awesome.
Oh yeah, exactly. No, and he's was a big part of me learning how to do all this too. So it's worked out really nicely. Number one fan.
Number one fan. So now I'm really curious. I want to know a little bit about your character. So tell me what inspired your character that you portray.
Sure. So it was kind of an evolution when I mean, I guess all gimmicks really are, but when I first started, I was like, well, so my background is in, like, I was a competitive power lifter before this. I'm like, well, I'm strong, so I'll do like the whole like strongman singlet and no knee pads and the boots. I was basically like Taz. And like that was fine, I guess, but it wasn't really like, it didn't feel like me. And I wanted like this badass cool name with alliteration, hence the Heidi Howitzer. And then one day I was like, you know what, I'm going to do like the war paint, because that feels like more true to myself. I'm a big fantasy and sci-fi nerd, kind of like, you know, what we talked about with DMs and all that. And I just, you know, and I got told, oh, well, you know, if you're going to do the war paint once, you got to do it every time. Like, that's not, which, you know, much to my dismay now. And so I did that, and I was like, I just felt more like me. And then, so then that kind of evolved into, I was like, well, I love the Road Warriors. Obviously, they're a huge inspiration. And I was like, I really want to make like some really like dope looking post-apocalyptic, cool looking shoulder pads. So I went and bought some football pads and gimmicked those up with paint and scale mail and all sorts of stuff. And then it just kind of slowly evolved from that. I was like still wearing the singlet. Then I went and like, I basically went to the raided a craft store and made my own like cool looking spray painted gear, which I had to like, every time I get in the ring, I'm like, hey, sorry if I smell like spray paint, at least I don't smell like Febrezed knee pads. So we've got that going for me, which is nice. So yeah, it kind of like evolved into this like sci-fi, cyberpunk, post-apocalyptic thing, which like is all of my interests to a T. And you know, everyone says like, you know, the best way to do your character, your gimmick is you turned up to 11. And that's definitely who Heidi Howitzer is. I just like bad jokes and punching people, I guess. So
Yes.
that's me, I suppose. Yeah, but that's kind of how the character came to be. And you know, a lot of times when I first started, I got told, hey, well, you look like a badass, you have to be a badass, or like you can't be a badass and a comedy character. So I'm doing my best to try and embrace both without but it's a hard line to walk.
Yeah, see, that's funny. Like you mentioned, you know, the Road Warriors. So, like when I first saw you, I knew you looked from like it reminded me of some wrestler from the past. I just couldn't put my finger on it. I was like, okay, the Road Warriors. That makes sense with like
Hell yeah.
you know, shoulder pads and stuff like that. But yeah, like that's the one thing that I really, really like about the Indies is you all get to be whoever you want to be, and obviously, it really shows how like you could tell that you're really enjoying your character basically because you know when you see like a wrestling promotion who's kind of forcing someone to portray whatever character, you could tell if they're not into it and stuff like that. So like the Indies, it's so fun because these, you know, you all are just doing your thing and having fun and being whoever you want to be, and it's just an experience that a lot of people just won't understand until they actually, you know, experience it themselves. But I really like the whole like sci-fi nerd thing. That's like what drew me to you when I first saw you. I was like, she is so dope. And then when I saw that that picture you posted with like the Mass Effect background stuff, I was like, oh, smokes, because I don't know if you know, but like I know I told you I was a big Mass Effect fan, but Mass Effect 2 is my all-time favorite game. So
Yes.
like, and it's crazy. Every time I like meet a gamer, and I'm like, "Oh, have you ever played Mass Effect?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Are you serious?" Like, because I love Mass Effect. I love talking about it and everything like that. And I never met anyone I could really talk to it about. Like, it's
Oh, it's so good. Well, like everything Bioware did for a while has been nice. I mean, so Dragon Age, I would say would be is up there on my list of favorite games, and that's what kind of led me into Mass Effect, because I was already like, cool, I like sci-fi, and this is, you know, the same kind of dynamics and immersion as the Dragon Age series gives you, with all of the you know, choose your own adventure stuff and getting to romance people, which I get to play my stories.
see,
It's lovely.
I've never played Dragon Age. I've heard a lot of good things about it, but it just got to the point where, like, when I did hear about it, I just don't have the time for, like, games that are very lengthy. Like, I bought Red Dead Redemption 2, like, when it came out, and I haven't even gotten halfway through it. I just don't have the time and dedication to really put all this time into the games like I could, but Mass Effect 2, I actually played it like a year ago when I had a lot of free time when I left my job, and it was crazy because it was like almost 10 years later after it came out, and it was just as good as it was, like the graphics and everything.
It still holds up. It's crazy.
I am embarrassed to say that
I feel that so much now.
Yeah, like exactly. And like I'm very embarrassed to say that I've never beat the first one. I don't know about you, but I tried to play it.
Here's my thing with the first one. The controls and like with the camera and just combat in general, they improved upon it so much with 2. I mean, 2's a better game anyway. 1 is fine, but 2's where it's at. I did just start Andromeda. I think I told you like the other week, and I had heard like all kinds of negative press and stuff, but I'm enjoying it so far. I mean, it's pretty, so it's got that going for it, which is nice.
Yeah, see, I started that too, but I didn't finish it. I plan on finishing it eventually, but like when I first heard about them making a new Mass Effect game, of course I was stoked. And then when I found out it was like in a different universe and all this, I was like, okay, that's fine. Like we can fall in love with new characters, you know. And then I started, seeing the gameplay and hearing all the complaints. I was like, wow, they like really did a shitty job on this game. Like it was bad. It was horrible. And
Yeah.
I waited till it got dirt cheap. I think I spent like $15 on it. I was like, you know what? This is gonna go down in price so fast. So eventually I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get it. And I actually kind of was enjoying it too before I stopped playing. Like it wasn't that bad of a game. The character that you are is kind of boring.
It's not the same game. Like if you take it as its own thing, from what I've been able to tell so far, it's good, but my thing too, like what you said about being too busy, I it was a real point of shame, and it was really hard for me to do. But now every time I start a new game with anything, I'm like always on the story or easiest mode, because I'm like, man, I just don't I don't have the time or energy to struggle through it. Even in like normal, I'm like, fuck it, I just fess up to it. I'm like, we're gonna do this in easy mode so I can at least like play the game and enjoy it and not pour hours into beating like X boss or X enemies. So there's that.
I do the same exact thing because typically I just want to blow through the game as fast as possible because I just know won't have all that time now. Like Resident Evil 3, the remake, I did play through on the hardest difficulty, but it was like a 3-hour campaign, and by that time I'd unlocked a lot of the unlockables, and it made it a lot easier. But yeah, it's just hard to get the motivation. Like even if you can beat it through a lengthy period of time, the motivation to actually know that it's going to take a while. I just want the quick games and stuff like that, which is why I can't do those open world games that often anymore. As much as I want.
I hate that. I'm right there with you, because I like playing all these story-driven open world games where it's like, it's never less than 60 hours of gameplay. Like it just isn't, and it's frustrating because it's like, well, which one am I gonna play? Like it sucks because so I didn't get Cyberpunk 2077 when it came out, and I was like really eyeballing it. Obviously with the aesthetic and everything, I was like, this is my shit. And then I saw all of the negative everything, and like it sucked, but at the same time I was like, okay, thank God I can I don't have to bury all my time into this, because your girl plays a lot of World of Warcraft, so I only have so much time for so many things.
See, I never got into World of Warcraft, and that's because I just never grew up with a gaming computer. Did they ever come out with like a port on like the PlayStation or anything for that?
No, and I don't know if it would work on console, but like I wish they would come out with some kind of like mini something for like tablet and smartphone. Although if they did, it would be bad because I would never get anything done. But yeah, no, they never did like a console port. Elder Scrolls Online is probably like the closest thing to that, and even then, it's kind of like its own deal.
I wanted to actually get the Elder Scrolls Online just because I do like that like medieval stuff. It's just at the same time I'm kind of like, I've never really been the biggest online gamer. I've always been like the single player, so I was like, I don't know anyone that plays, am I gonna be wasting my money and stuff like that as well, and I just never really looked into it. The last like open world game, What's the company that makes Elder Scrolls? I know they make Fallout as well.
Bethesda.
Bethesda, yes.
Yeah.
I would say Fallout 3 was the last open world game that I really played. I put over 100 hours into it, but that was back when I was in high school and I had the time. Because I remember I bought Fallout 4 when it came out, and I bought the Pit Boy edition, everything, and I put like 2
Yes.
hours into it.
Man, I miss like the 2.5 week long Christmas break vacation you'd have as a kid where you just like didn't shower and only played video games, which is probably very revealing about me. But yeah, that was lovely. I miss those were simpler times.
I do too, because I would always get like 2 or 3 new games at Christmas, and I would play the crap out of them during that time. We don't get that opportunity anymore, though, and
No.
and then you also got that like 3-month long summer vacation.
Yeah.
And even as an adult, like if you do take a little week of vacation or whatever, it just you still don't get the really be on vacation all the time until you're still doing stuff around the house or something like
Yeah,
that.
you're like, oh, I have to do adult shit like the laundry and the dishes and bills and yeah.
And it's like
Too many
sad
things.
because like I really want the PlayStation 5 and I have been saving up, but I've been thinking recently, like if I buy this PlayStation 5, am I even gonna have the time? Is it gonna be even worth spending, $400 or $500 on this and barely playing it? So it's like I'm very driven or not or conflicted right now. Like, should I even do it? Like just being an adult sucks.
I will say this, since you mentioned Elder Scrolls Online with PlayStation Now, which is like $10 a month, I think. Elder Scrolls Online is free to stream on there, so you can play it. Like you don't have the bonus expansion stuff, I think, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. And it's nice because it is like the perfect hybrid of like MMO and single player, where you don't have to play with other people, which I like because I don't always like playing with other people. But yeah, so I don't know if that helps or hinders your quest for a new PlayStation, but just so you know.
I might look into that. I do know when I did get the free trial, like 2-3 years ago or whatever, and I remember just like it kept lagging a lot because of the stream, and so I was like, I'm not gonna do this. I just canceled it before the free trial was up. But it's been something that's been in the back of my mind because I'm figured maybe it's better now, but the whole idea of being able to stream all these video games, kind of like video game Netflix kind of thing, and I was like, that sounds really cool. But
good in theory, not necessarily in execution.
Yeah, it's the most annoying thing in the world when things are lagging and stuff like that. I remember when I used to play Gears of War a lot online, that used to lag. I don't know if you ever played it online, but you like people like kind of flying all over the map and stuff like that.
Man, yeah, anything that's like an FPS and you're expected to not have lag can be a time. We'll put it that way.
Oh yeah, those were the memories. It was always kind of fun when they would get a little too laggy. It just looked so stupid. It was funny.
Yeah, just like glitching all over the place and stuff, and yeah, you're like, I'm pushing buttons, but nothing's happening.
Exactly.
You're already dead, but you're just like, maybe this will come across. Maybe this will come across. Yeah. So.
So now I have to actually, I did see you post something about Star Wars on your Twitter. Are you a big fan of The Mandalorian?
Yeah, I just watched the season finale and everything the other day. I love The Mandalorian. I really loved Rogue One. I wasn't a huge fan of the reboot trilogy, outside of Kylo Ren and Adam Driver because he's a thick boy. I love The Mandalorian. I really, really enjoyed Rogue One. I enjoyed Solo, and I really like the original trilogy. And even the Phantom Menace and stuff is really I think it's aged a little bit better than when it originally came out, but still not great. But I'm really excited about all the reboots Disney's doing with it, especially the fact that Clone Wars is fully available too in its entirety. Gonna be binging some of that.
Yeah, The Mandalorian, when it first came out, I was interested in it because it's Star Wars and I love Star Wars, but I just didn't, really have the motivation, and I kept hearing people talking about it. And then when I heard Sasha Banks was going to be on it, I was like, okay, I gotta watch it. I'm a huge Sasha fan, and of course I didn't want to just start watching it on the episode that she was on. I wanted to know what was going on, so I binge watched the whole first season, like, this is actually really good. And then season 2 got even better with Ahsoka. I think that's how you pronounce it. Her returning. And then of course, Luke Skywalker, and just that really shows you how far technology has come. Like, it looks.
Oh, that's the best they've made that whole like aging CGI thing look ever. Like, it was almost like off-putting. It was so good. And that was when, like, The Mandalorian, the soundtrack is so good. That's one thing they've done. I mean, they've done a fantastic job with a lot of it, but like Waititi, the guy who I guess produced, wrote, whatever, he, one of the main guys who ran everything for The Mandalorian. I was really interested when I found out he was going to be doing it, because like What We Do in the Shadows is one of my favorite like movies and TV series with the vampire mockumentary, and he's the writer of that. So I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't realize it was going to be this good. So I'm thrilled, and I'm thrilled about it. It just sucks that like December 2021 is the next bit of it, and that's a long time. That's a whole year.
That is a very long time, and they have a lot coming out for Star Wars within the next few years. I know they have another trilogy that's coming out. I don't know what time frame is going to take place, and did they mention that, or did they just say a new trilogy?
I think they just dropped like title names of stuff, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I didn't see what the timeline was on that.
Yeah, I didn't see that either. And I know they got the ObiWan movie coming out, which I'm actually really excited for, because this is, what happens after episode 3. So I've always wanted to see that story, because I know, like, apparently according to like the comics or something, like, he does have another like face off with Darth Maul apparently, and
yeah,
I
and
want to see that.
Ewan McGregor fucking killed it in the. I don't even know like how to say like the trilogies anymore, because there's too many, but you know what I mean. And so like not only did he kill it, like the Star Wars expanded universe is so huge, between like you just mentioned like the graphic novels, and then there's all the books and everything too. Like there's so much material to pull from, and that's exciting. So it's like, yeah, we've got less good stories and stuff too, but there's so much, like it's just ripe for the picking. It's awesome.
Exactly, and like I just know this would be good, because I know you mentioned you liked the Solo one. I did not like that one, to be honest with you. It was just one I just couldn't get into. That was actually like the only Star Wars movie that I didn't really like. I am actually a really big fan, and you're probably gonna shame me, but I love the episodes 1 through 3, and the Phantom Menace is actually my favorite one of all.
So have you? So speaking of, we're gonna go off the rails here for a second. Have you read the Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord conspiracy theories?
No, I did not.
Okay, so you should just Google like Jar Jar is a Sith Lord. I'll send you. There's a Reddit link to it with this
I think
whole
I
theory.
saw something on YouTube about that, because I know when one of the things was when Jar Jar jumped up into the pond and did all that spinning stuff, people like brought up that part, and that's the only part I remember. But I think I do, remember seeing like some kind of like thing on YouTube. But
Yeah, I'll have to, since you like those a lot, I'll have to send you the fan theory, because it's like super well constructed, and it's really entertaining to rewatch that trilogy with that in mind. And also I love the pod racing and Darth Maul, so no shame here.
yeah, I don't care what anyone says. That battle at the end with Darth Maul, Obi-Wan, and what's the other guy's name? I always forget his name. The guy that Darth Maul, Obi-Wan's master.
Mentor,
Mentor.
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon, yes, that was the best lightsaber battle out of every Star Wars movie, just in my opinion. It was just, I love the music that was playing during it.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with fucking dual lightsabers. Darth Maul was just cool, man. Like as far as like Star Wars villains go, yeah.
I mean, you saw him. That was the first time you were really seeing someone take on 2 Jedi at the same time, and he was really holding his own. And like you said, the lightsaber, like we had never seen a lightsaber like that before, so that was just really amazing. Especially that that's why Ahsoka uses 2 lightsabers, because she was really impressed with him from what I heard on YouTube. So Yeah, like Darth Maul is just a badass, and I want to see him on the screen again. That was the one thing. He was like the coolest villain, and he was gone after that one. He was in those like you mentioned the
The Clone
Rebels.
Wars, yeah, or Rebels, yeah.
I never got a really opportunity to watch it. I watched like a few episodes, but then I just couldn't. I just couldn't get into it honestly because I'm not the biggest like animated kind of person.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But
that'll do it.
yeah, it just felt like I was watching like a kid show. But I did really want to watch it just because I wanted to kind of connect the dots with all the storylines and stuff like that. Because I know that was like a big deal for anyone who had seen it when Ahsoka returned in the Mandalorian, because like she was the one of the very few Jedi that survived Order 66, and I didn't even know that. So I was like, so I had to look up that scene on YouTube when the all the clone troopers try to kill her and she battled them and all. I was like, wow, this girl's really badass.
Yeah, I'd say definitely give it another shot because, like, I mean, yeah, I definitely feel you on the animation style, but as far as like lore and just good storytelling goes, Clone Wars is up there for sure. And you'll hear a lot of people tell you the same thing probably, but yeah, I definitely recommend it. Give it a
Yeah.
shot because yeah, it's all on Disney Plus now, I think.
Oh yeah, Disney Plus is everything Star Wars. Because my wife had it and I didn't even know it. Like I was like, you really had Disney Plus this whole time and did not tell me, because it's like that was one of the things that was holding me back from watching The Mandalorian. I was like, I don't really want to add another paid, subscription to my
Yeah,
bills. I already pay for this and that and that. I didn't feel like adding another one
and
just
then
for
she's
one
already
TV
got
show.
it.
Yeah, and then she had it the whole freaking time, and I was like, God darn it! But yeah, like it seems like the Disney, and it's like $7.99. It's so cheap.
Yeah, it's not bad at all, especially
Yeah,
because like Netflix just upped their shit to like something stupid, like $18 or something. I don't know.
yeah,
Um, but
it's
yeah, for $8, they've got
and you
all the
get all the
content you'd
Simpson
want.
episodes too, which is pretty cool. I was really excited
Yeah,
about that.
and all the Marvel movies and a lot of National Geographic too, which I was into.
You, yeah, they had a lot more on the Disney than I expected. Like I did not know. Like I mentioned, The Simpsons. I did not know that was on there because that's not really a family
Yeah,
thing.
oriented show.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so. Oh well, so I guess we did talk a lot about video games and Star Wars and all, so I got that off my chest. So I guess we can circle back to wrestling. So I know in November you wrestled for Mission Pro Wrestling, the tournament out of hell, and you competed, against La Rosa Negra. So tell me a little bit about that experience working with Mission Pro.
That was fantastic. I can't say enough good things about Mission Pro, about Thunder Rosa, about La Rosa Negra. First women's champion at Mission Pro too, man. She's so like first off the bat, working with her was an absolute dream. She's obviously a vet. I mean, she's been doing this like 15, 20 years, something like that.
I
So
think she started in
being
like
able to
2004 or something like that.
yeah, like something crazy. And I mean, I've had the opportunity to work with like a couple of vets, but no one with that kind of experience. Like getting to be in a ring with someone like that is just invaluable. It's amazing. And she is like charisma and fire and just like a ball of just limitless energy. So she's a blast to be around when she's not beating the shit out of you. And so yeah, loved working with her. Just absolutely fantastic, a dream. And I mean, Mission is great too, because when all the speaking out thing happened and Mission came forward, Thunder Rosa came forward and said, hey, we're going to make this an all women's promotion, like women everything, production, announcer, commentary, on top of the roster, obviously. I think it was like a day later, I was putting all my stuff together to go, please book me, please love me. So when I got the call about the November show, I was thrilled. And they're doing something really special there. There's other women's promotions out there. I mean, we do respect women's wrestling in Denver, and there's like Shine and Rise and all that, but yeah, they're building something special. They're doing a really good job of shining light on girls that have women who've either been in the business a long time and people haven't necessarily given them a look yet, along with just up and comers too. And yeah, and now with like Jazz and Thunder Rosa and Rodney all starting to school out there, man, yeah, don't sleep on Mission Pro. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, Mission Pro is awesome, and I was sponsoring that event. And the crazy thing is, they like put you to work. Like normally, when you sponsor an event, they just put your logo on a poster and follow this, podcast. Thank you for sponsoring. They were like email me, hey, interview this person, interview that person. Like they were like really coming at me. And I was like, wow, like I actually got overbooked on my show that month, and I wasn't complaining because it was great getting all the the wrestlers on my show. But it's like they really put you to work. It's like you're working for them.
Yeah, it's honestly it's the same as being a wrestler on the show, and it's great because aside from just being on the card and having the stream and everything like that with title match, good footage, you get so much. Thunder Rosa is so good at getting our girls publicity, like especially like exactly what you just said, getting everyone's doing interviews, everyone's doing podcasts, everyone's doing like shoots and everything, and again that's huge because you cannot promote yourself enough as an independent wrestler. I mean, that's how you get more bookings. So it's next level. It's great. She knows exactly what she's doing.
Yeah, I mean that's why she is where she is in her career because she's been doing this for a while, and like you said, she knows what she's doing, and I really like it. Like she really because I've had her on my show twice. You could just tell that she really is very passionate about wrestling, and not just it's not just about her. It's about women wrestling in general. Like she cares about all the women that she works with. And that's something that you don't always see in wrestling because, we've seen it throughout the history of wrestling. There's wrestlers with the egos. It's all about them. They never want to, put someone else over. No, like she wants to, take women's wrestling as a whole and take it to the next level. And, she's really doing it. Like we're seeing her all over the place. We're seeing her. She's pulling two jobs basically, with, Mission Pro as a wrestler and then, the backstage stuff. And like I said, it's just like they don't stop.
Oh
When it comes to putting the podcast to work, they're sponsoring them, even the wrestlers. Because when I was interviewing wrestlers for that show, they were telling me, "Oh yeah, like it's intense. We're doing the custom matches. We're doing this. We're doing that. It's like they really, really, really want to get their name out there, your name out there. They want to help everyone, and it's great. Like I can just imagine like how much sleep she probably gets.
like none, I assume at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, between the booker, promoter, like you said, all the backstage stuff on top of being a wrestler yourself, like yeah, God bless her because that woman is put in a lot of work for all of us to make women's wrestling a better place. I mean, and it's great too because it's such a small world. Like you can't have of course there's always going to be like places with cattiness or backstabbing and stuff or drama, but like at the same time it's like you can't because there's too few of us, right? Wrestling is a small world, and then women's wrestling is even smaller. So having kind of like that space for us is great.
Exactly. And I mean, she's a legend, and hopefully one day she gets recognized, as one and really gets her name out there. Because, like, the one thing is, it seems like when it comes to women wrestlers, if you're not a, if you weren't like a big name in WWE, a lot of people really don't, look at you as like a legend. But I think she will be, one of those, women who will really put her name out there as a legend and also help put women's wrestling on the map and help other women get to that level as well, in the sport because, there's so many talented women out there and, you all deserve to get your name out there more.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. There's no way she doesn't. I mean, the publicity she's already getting just from the stuff with AEW and then Mission independently and then NWA. I mean, she's everywhere right now. It's the 2020 has definitely been the year of Thunder Rosa.
Exactly.
And I'm assuming 2021 is going to be even more so.
So now I really want to look because I have the magazine. I want to know where she was ranked in the PWI. Like, I'm very curious.
I can't remember, but I remember seeing it and being like, she should be higher.
Exactly.
And I also feel like she should have been there. Like, I want to say this might have been the first year she was in it. And like, yeah, it's just crazy that so many people slept on Thunder Rosa for so long, and now they're learning.
Yeah, they are because I feel like the being on AEW really kind of like gave her a lot more exposure because I knew a lot of friends on that I met on Twitter who love wrestling who did not know about her until the AEW appearances. So I think that was really good for her, and obviously that being good for her, that's going to be good for women's wrestling in general because now people can. Her voice is going to be a lot louder now, so that's really good because we all know how like passionate and vocal she is about women's wrestling.
Oh hell yeah! Well, and it's crazy too. I mean, I'm assuming you saw there's going to be like three of the girls from Mission Pro are going to be on AEW Dark tonight, and I'm so excited to see that.
Yeah, that's one of the questions I asked her because I was like, with working with AEW, are we going to be seeing, women from Mission Pro on AEW, then women from AEW on Mission Pro, kind of like the Ring of Honor New Japan kind of thing where you saw like wrestlers on both shows and kind of starting to see it, So I think that's great. I want to see more of y'all on the show, in the near future. And that's the cool thing about AEW Dark is because you're seeing all these women from the indies constantly being put on there and, really getting their name out there, and some of them are starting to get signed and making multiple appearances for AEW. So I think that's great.
No, it's amazing, and honestly, that's one thing that's I think has been good that's come from the pandemic is it's AEW Dark has been giving all of these opportunities to unsigned independent talent that I don't think I don't think they would have been getting that kind of exposure otherwise. So yeah, it's been fantastic to see. It's been a lot of fun getting to see like a lot of your friends and people you've worked with and stuff, getting those opportunities. It's cool. It's really cool.
Absolutely, and it creates a lot of opportunities after that because a lot of people may not realize you being on TV just once, it really opens up the doors, and all these other bookers, and all these other independent promotions are gonna, be reaching out to you. Podcasts are gonna be reaching out to you. It's gonna increase your following on social media. It does a lot. One of the wrestlers I had on my show several months ago, she made an appearance on SmackDown, and she told me just everything blew up on her social media. People were finding her on Facebook, and she don't even know how that happened because obviously she didn't use her real name on SmackDown and all this kind of stuff. So it really puts a spotlight on you, and you know
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. That's so one of the girls I came up with, and one of my best friends in real life, Abaddon. It was the same thing for her. She got like right after her dark match with AEW, it was like she gained like 16,000 followers overnight, and she's like, I don't know what to do with all this. I'm like, well, you're over, brother.
you know what you got yourself into.
Yeah, I'm like a contract. That's what you're gonna do with all that.
Exactly.
So, it's funny.
So now I got one more question for you. So now with 2020 wrapping up and we're entering 2021, what are some of your wrestling goals for the new year?
Sure. So 2021, it's going to be the year of Howitzer, right? That's what I said about 2020, but the pandemic kind of put a damper on things. I still got to go out of state quite a bit. I got lucky with like the mission booking, working with like Versus Pro and stuff. But I'm hoping that things clear up enough that I can start working out of state even more. Not only myself, but so I actually just made the announcement like right before this podcast. Max the Impaler and I are going to start tagging together. So if you want some big badass post-apocalyptic bitches, then we're your girls. So we'll be hopefully bringing the herd on some people next year. I would really, so don't get me wrong, like AEW Dark would be awesome, but I'd love to try and get a shot at like Impact or Ring of Honor in the next year. So yeah, busting my ass a lot and hopefully being charismatic enough that somebody wants to look at me, or I'll make them look at me, I guess. I don't yeah, no, so yeah, just want to work out of state a lot more and make even more of a name for myself as I can.
Well, fingers crossed that you get an opportunity at AEW Dark, and yeah, I definitely can see your, being able to do a lot more. It just, like you mentioned, it just depends on the pandemic. We don't know if it's going to get worse, especially with the vaccine. And now, what if that makes it worse? That's the scary
Yeah.
thing. They're injecting something in people that they've only, been working on for 8 months.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary. I'm sure you've seen all the memes and stuff like that.
Yes.
It's pretty. It's scary. It's funny, but yeah, like there was the nurse who got the shot, and she like fainted like a minute later. Supposedly she has like health issues, when it comes to needles and all, but people made a meme out of that, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
my goodness gracious.
Oh, it's one thing after another. And yeah, I guess, but yeah, I do enjoy all the jokes about like, hey, if you survived, a wrestling locker room and all that stuff, or whatever ring, then you can survive the vaccine. I'm like, oh, that's accurate.
We'll find out. We'll see
Well,
where
we will.
2021 takes us.
Yeah, I'm hoping things start. I mean, it's all you can do is hope, but yeah, I'm hoping things start to open back up a little bit, and wrestling comes back to some kind of normalcy, so I can be yelling at fans once again, or them yelling at me. Maybe a little bit of both. We'll see.
Exactly, because I miss going to the MCW, which is like 45 minutes from us. We were going there every month, and then COVID happened. Then we started having to travel to New Jersey because they were actually doing outdoor events. Because here in Maryland, they weren't doing anything, so it kind of sucked. But yeah,
Yeah.
I want things to get back to normal too, because going to indie events is so much fun, and meeting new wrestlers is always a joy.
Oh yeah. For sure. No, and it's the same thing out here. I guess within the last 6 weeks, because 6 weeks is when they shut everything back down again. So yeah, I miss it. My body doesn't miss bumping, but the heart misses it, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, the body will never miss that, honestly. I could just
No.
imagine. The guy I've seen, my one friend who wrestles, I've seen her after she got done bumping for the first time in months. She barely could walk. I was like, I don't know how y'all do this.
Yeah, there's a lot of F-bombs dropped, like when you get back in the ring after not being in there for a while. Between the
Hmm.
bumping and the in-ring cardio, it's a lot. But
Exactly. But yeah, Heidi, I have to say that I very much enjoyed this interview. Anytime I could talk about like Star Wars or video games on my show, it's always a win-win because that's something I could really, really just keep going on and on and on. Like I was about to bring up another video game and then this and that. I was like, we're probably gonna be here all night talking. So I just kept it at the Star Wars and Mass Effect and all that. But yeah, thank you so much for appearing on O Face Wrestling today.
yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. And yeah, we'll have to do a part 2 sometime where we talk about even more video games and stuff, and
Absolutely, yeah, we definitely
spend like
gotta
2 seconds on wrestling.
exactly maybe we'll both have the PS5 by then. We could talk about that or something like that.
Hell yeah. Fingers crossed, right?
Yep. Hopefully, if those damn bots online stop buying them all.
I know. Shit, man. One of these days. But yeah, that would be nice. So
Absolutely. So, did you want to share any of your social media, or do you got any upcoming like merch coming out that you want to share with the listeners?
yeah, so a couple places. So as far as finding me on social media, you can find me at Thunderdome Style on Instagram, at Thunderdome Style without the E and Thunder on Twitter, because that was too many characters. Thanks, Twitter. And Heidi Howitzer on Facebook, which is not as active as the other two, but Instagram, Twitter all day long. If you want Heidi Howitzer merch, you can find me at Pro Wrestling Tees or Brainbuster Tees. I've got a pretty sweet merch design that has Skeletor with my face paint and a scythe with pizza melting. And there's even a X-rated version with Skeletor's tits out. So if that's what you want for Christmas, brainbustertees.com. Find Heidi Howitzer. So if you were wondering.
All right, make sure y'all
yeah,
check that out. And yeah, follow her on social media. Same thing with us. Give us a sub on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And thank you all for tuning in to O Face Wrestling.